Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Hope you're safe and well because, of course, that is the most important thing. Now, I don't know if you spotted, but in ECHA's newsletter last week on the 14th of July, there was a link to a study by the University of Gothenburg in Sweden on what happens with authorized chemicals. And they decided to look at trichloroethylene, trike, which was under an authorization or a series of authorizations for companies using it to clean metal. It's used as a metal degreaser, and it's been used like that for a long time. So I'm going to put a link to the study below this video just now. Of course, the point about authorization is that they think that there must be something better out there. We can degrease in a different way, or we can do something different, and that there's lots and lots of chemicals out there, and it's almost the premise is industry has been lazy. They found something that works, and they need this push to find something that works just as well but is safer. And of course, that kind of fails to respect the amount of work and data and experience that's been built up over decades in the chemical and chemical using industries. We do not use things that are dangerous just for the sake of it, particularly for things sort of internally that we're up to here with health and safety legislation, some of which helps, some of which is a bit does it really matter? I have to be honest and say, certain things are, we're maybe going too far down the route of sort of overly precautionary things where there isn't any evidence. But so the theory behind all of the authorization is that we can just go to some kind of almost supermarket and go, yeah, that's not working, I'll try this one. And it doesn't really work like that in the real world, because what they found with this trike authorization study is it's being replaced with perchloroethylene. And the only difference between the two chemicals in regulatory terms is that trike is a definite carcinogen and perc is only a suspected carcinogen. Well, great, because one of the big problems about using chlorinated solvents is actually environmental. And you're taking one chlorinated solvent and you're substituting it with another chlorinated solvent. So in terms of chlorinated solvents, which are really bad for the water courses, if they get into water, what they do is they act as DNAPLs, that's dense non-aqueous phase liquids. And they get down into the bottom of an aquifer or the bottom of a river or bottom of a lake or whatever, and they sit there. And they can sit there effectively forever, for a very, very long time. And you get very, very, very small amounts that are soluble, and they will contaminate your water supply for drinking water. So you get a DNAPL, and they're not as easy to remove as a light non-aqueous phase liquid like oil on the surface. That's easy. You just put a boom around it and you slurp it off or whatever. That's easy to deal with. DNAPLs, how do you get down to the bottom of the water? The water course. You've got to drill holes if it's an aquifer. How can you make sure you're scooping it up? Is it sort of suffocating life in the bottom? Because a lot of things live in that at the bottom of the water column, in the sediment. So how do you clean that up? It's not an easy thing to do. So in terms of environmental impact and then impact on human health from the environment, it's what's going to happen? Is it sorry, I've got lots of emails coming in here. Has it actually helped, this authorization? No, it bloody well hasn't. It hasn't helped in the slightest. And as the report says, it's people have changed from trike to perc because that means they don't need to change their machinery, they don't need to change their processes. And the whole reason for making this change was simply to avoid the costs of authorization. So you're getting a behavior that isn't really helping and that's been pushed for by regulators. And I think what this means is we should, especially in GB, now we are allegedly moving away from the EU, although at the moment it seems like we're copying everything. We have to think long and hard about what authorization means. is it providing us with the outcomes that we want? Are the outcomes that we want actually realistic or attainable? Does it make sense to have industry being charged all this money to use a very useful chemical that works? Are there really any genuine substitutes out there? Are there other ways of doing this? And I don't think this conversation has really been had. I think that there's been this big push of, oh, it's hazardous, therefore we have to ban it. When in fact, the question is, this is hazardous. We know it's hazards. Are we going to substitute it with something where the hazards are less well known or the hazards are similar? Is there any point in forcing industry to do that? Instead of authorization, should we be looking at, if we're going to make industry spend money because this is a nasty chemical, surely it's better that that money goes towards using the chemical in as safe a way as possible and disposing of it correctly and making sure it's not, for example, getting into the water environment in the case of chlorinated solvents, than having something that's like this, which is just forcing people into behaviors that are in effect very little, there's very little benefit, but there's been a lot of money and a lot of work and a lot of worry for them. Anyway, that's work. Leave that on one side. I am now going to go and find a link to you for something that's a bit happier. So today we've got Cissy and Ada. Now, Cissy and Ada were two ladies of a certain age, played by the late Les Dawson and Roy Barraclough. And I'm just trying to get to my email from today to pick the link up because I'm running late on everything. There we are. The first one is Honeymoon Memories. Now, I have to say, this is not at all politically correct. So if you are in any way offended, then please don't watch it. But for those of us of a certain age, yeah, it's fun. Anyway, I hope you have a great day today. I hope that your day goes better than my day is going. And I hope to be able to see you again tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Bye.